Hey guys, it's Gem and I'm doing an updated orbiter walkthrough. I'll be talking and kind of explaining some of my process with what I did for the ship. Also, a lot of things have changed from the last walkthrough I did, which by the way was a very silent, it was just a silent walkthrough. There wasn't really any talking at all. So this one will be different in that sense. So getting started, this is the cockpit, of course, of the orbiter. And what I've done is I've taken the white wide artisan pots that you get from Aquathis. These items are a rotation item as opposed to an Enigma archive. So you can get this without having to grind puzzles, you just need the resources. And I've used them to make this octagonal shape for the front of the ship, and I used the Laverian murals for the gold trim and Zariman wall panels for the flush wooden surface. Also using a Zariman wall panel for the wooden surface on this lower level here, the main level. White wide artisan pots were used to create separation from the front to this second segment, as well as this mini staircase. On either side here, these are basically workspaces that I've made using the Corpus Tenet relief displays. So a Corpus Tenet relief is a display that you can get from the Parvos Granum statue that is located in a large room that will normally spawn on the Corpus ship tile set. If you exchange a Granum crown to the statue, it will reward you with one of these displays in return, and you do get a unique one each time, and you can get up to 11 of them. You can't get any more after you've got them all. So I have them all, and I typically use them for monitors. I took those, and what I did was because the original artwork is like an engraving, I took a poster and I clipped it inside so that I could have a flat, smooth surface like you would for a monitor. And I did the same thing on this side here. So I used the Calibrix glyph. You get that one from Amir. And same method with this one. I used a single poster. The keyboard is made out of scrubber trophies. The pillar bases that you see with the Requiem writings on them, that is called the Kibis, and Grandma sells that. As we enter the bridge, I did the same thing with the Corpus Tenet relief display. I used Nora's glyph, obviously because of Nightwave. We're at the Nightwave console. And I saw someone do this in the Architects Anonymous Discord, so I thought that was a really cool idea that I wanted to also try. On this side, I guess what I had in mind was like a control panel or command console sort of thing. This sort of flat object you see here with gold trim that's framing this part of the ship. This is the Toron Academy table that Leon sells. The wooden paneling, I used the dining tables for the top part just for these smaller corners, and I used Zariman wood wall panels the rest of the way for the bridge. Like I said, just to hide more of the ship. Don't want to see any of the huge wires that the ship has. Okay, so here we are in the main hall, or the central part of the ship. And I'm just gonna... So that's what that looks like. Starting with the right side here, the desk, I placed that into the foundry because I wanted that to be like a sort of workspace. I did the same method with the Corpus Tenet reliefs for these two monitors here, and the reason why they're flat, by the way, is because the posters, because I'm clipping them inside, obviously it needs to be straight. So there's not really a poster that's small enough to go in here with, you know, that I could do a black screen with. Toron Academy table for the surface of the desk, the same thing I used up there to frame the bridge. And the gold and black surface you see behind these monitors is the Entrati Serpentine chair. I'm using the sideboard decoration from Velimir for the wooden surface beneath the desk. To the left, just a sitting area with the Entrati chaise lounge, Velimir's plant with the fern from Nightcap, the Deviri flowers. You know, just to make something really fancy. Okay, so now getting into the structure of the ship, I get a lot of questions about the structure and what I used for this. Now, this sort of slanted, angled style is something I see a lot of people in the IKEA frame community do when, you know, they're trying to find a nice structure for the orbiter. When they're angled like this, it makes the orbiter appear bigger as opposed to when they're just straight. So I wanted to go with this method. Pyro Rock with Architects Anonymous has done this method as well. They used wide green artisan pots for theirs, and I'm using pillars for mine. I have the pillars angled 15 degrees, so it's not too steep, and I just use that as a guide to keep overlapping. So a lot of people ask, where do you get these long pillars? You have to turn the divider outward so that only the bottom part is showing. And then when you overlap them, you can create the appearance of like a longer pillar. So you'll need multiple of these. If I had to guess, I think I use maybe 20 of these dividers for the structure. For the gold, I'm using the Laverian mural. I have quite a few of these, so I think maybe I used about, I want to say 10 of these murals, at least for the strips along the side. The pillar bases, that's the same thing I used up front. It's the Kibis decoration. For the dining table, I'm using the Deviri repast table, and the Entrati chairs are from Birth 3. So that's what that's about. The middle centerpiece here is made out of the Auroron from Grandma. Now, yes, it is sticking through awkwardly inside of the table, but we don't look at that and we don't talk about that. I just needed a nice centerpiece, and I really like how the Auroron looks, so it doesn't really bother me as much. Globe chandeliers for the top, and the, I think it's called the Ansiphis, that square pointy decoration that it's placed in. That's the Ansiphis decoration from Grandma. For the arsenal, I'm using the Zariman plinth for the base, and I'm using the Deviri mortis stela for that stone round circular object right here. It doesn't get in the way of the arsenal, so that's good. I needed to use 2 Zariman plinths for the back of the arsenal for that gold surface. The glass paneling you see here on either side, I use these to create separations for both the kitchen and the bedroom. So basically that table right there for the dining set, I've rotated vertically and just placed on either side. And for the room here, I made the closet or the armoire to hide the Void Relic console, but also so it looks like, you know, there's just a piece of furniture in the room. More sideboards from Velimir. You're going to notice this is a common theme. These sideboards are very useful if you want to make things, so I use that for the bed frame as well as for this storage at the top. For this spot right here, I'm using a nightstand. So I really like them because they make for really good shelves. The blanket, quote unquote, is actually the temple flesh, also known as wall meat, but if you place it like this, you can't really tell that it's wall meat, so it's just up there to kind of, it looks like a spare blanket. I thought about using the Halvania tarps. It's like these orange tarp decorations you get from Velimir, but I opted for the wall meat. For the decoration on this wall to the left, this is the Paracesis sheath. You get this from Cephalon Sim. And this is the Vanguard display, the Prime Vanguard display. Other than that, just a flue for the bed, 2 rugs from the Ostron rug collection from the market. I made the headboard out of Entrati ottomans from Bird 3, and these 2 cylindrical pillows here are the Entrati settees. So I angled them like this and clipped them inside. That is the bedroom, and moving on to the kitchen, which is the last part I wanted to show. So for the kitchen, once again, Sideboard Nation here. I'm using them for the cabinets, and another nightstand was used for this small shelf section. I just wanted to kind of give the appearance of, like, you know, there's things in the cabinets. The white and gold kettle looking things you see, that is the Orkin cask. Leon sells those. The counters were made entirely of dining tables for the most part. Again, repast table for the glass. Anytime I'm using glass, it's probably going to be this table right here. It's one of the only glass textures that we have that looks nice. And then I'm using the DeVere flask for the knobs. Same thing I used for the knobs on the closet door or the armoire door. DeVere thermos for the handle, artisan barrel, short artisan barrel for the oven. And there's actually a poster behind this glass, as well as beneath or for the surface of the stove. The reason being is because I wanted to make sure that none of the things that I used to make this oven were visible, so the posters serve as a way to hide all of that. And I just thought about it, if you really wanted to make an oven door, you don't have to use this. You could probably just use the coffee table too. You can get away with that with the coffee table. I'm using a Zarman locker, a square locker for the back here. And as you know, with ovens and stoves, they generally will have a clock on them. So to really add the icing on the cake for that, I used the control module decoration. Very useful, by the way. If you really want to, like, when you're decorating, indicate that something has an electronic interface, the control module decoration is really good for that. Another alternative would be the Zarman beverage dispenser, because it has like a light, like an LED display and buttons. So I really like to use these with my appliances and electronics that I'm trying to do. So that's what I did for the stove. For the vent hood, the Zarman extractor units were used for the fans. And that black sort of surface that they're protruding from, it is the bottom of the arcade machine. For the faucet, Iatan air or ire sculpture. For the sink, the Zarman footlocker open. And I used the bottom of a noggle for the drain. For the dishwasher, I'm using the nightstand decoration, same decoration that I used for this shelf here. And you guys saw the beverage dispenser already. I clipped it inside. Cutting board is the Entrati Serpentine chair. I'm using the Rail Agent Manifest for the quote-unquote cookbook. For the salt and pepper shakers, Zarman tumblers. Fruit basket, Old Man Sumbat. Fridge, sideboards, once again, they never get old. I don't know what I was going for here, but this white segment that you see here is actually a poster. And then again with the beverage dispenser. In order to get this to be hidden, but this part to show, because I essentially wanted this bottom section to be like 2 drawers of the fridge, like 2 freezer drawers. I just clipped this a little bit further back, just enough so that this part doesn't show. So only this part here is visible, but not that side. And then of course some Zariman artwork and crafts for like quote-unquote fridge magnets. This Cowlin bowl is from the Zaku Deluxe set. Lucky Cat, Lunar New Year event, Nightcap filter flowers, Nightcap ivy, Nightcap red and white flowers. This is a Zariman waste bin. The mop and bucket is from Borrow. Only Borrow sells this. Also, I didn't really go over this. For the fire, this is called the Cutter Fighter Decoration. Borrow sells these fighter jet decorations. They are one of the only few decorations that have fire. If you cannot get this decoration, you can also get the Lickness decoration that Grandma sometimes has. Bear in mind that the flames are purple, but it's still pretty cool looking, and you can clip it inside of your stove just the same if you don't have a fighter decoration to use. But I am using the fighter decoration for mine because I didn't want my fire to be purple. But it's just there, so it's like, oh look, you have an oven, like a gas stove that actually produces flames. So that's what I did there, and that's why I chose this one. That is that, you guys. That is the orbiter tour. I am so sorry this was so long, but I just wanted to make sure that I covered as many bases as I could. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. I have a lot of tutorials on my TikTok page, and I do have some here. I just need to get into the habit of trying to do more tutorials on YouTube. So please ask any questions if you'd like, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.